Welcome to the town of Southwest Ranches. We're going to start our LPA. Little explanation here first. The mayor is out of town on town business. Personal business. And will be joining us via telephone. Mayor, are you there?
I'm here.
Great, outstanding. Can we call the roll, please?
Wait a minute. We got to turn this up a little.
Hey, if I could hear him.
I think the microphone might be in the wrong place. You can't hear him on the PA system.
You there?
Speak for a second.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
We're good.
We're good. Okay.
Board Member McKay? Board Member McKay?
Doug.
Yes.
Board Member Jablonski?
Here.
Board Member Fisicelli?
Here.
Board Member Hartman?
Here.
Board Member Schroeder?
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. All right, thank you all. We have a little bit of a situation with the LPA, and I'd like to call up the chairman of the comp board right now, and he could bring us up to speed on what's being done with the comprehensive planning board.
Great, thank you, Vice Mayor. So I appreciate the opportunity to just spend a few minutes up here and kind of bring everybody up to date. The Comp Board has been working, as you all are aware, on the nurseries on the ordinances that are associated with retail nurseries, wholesale nurseries, and we've been working diligently on that. We took a little bit of a step back because there was a lot of discussion related to particular wording in there. And we did not have a good consensus on exactly what the final product was supposed to look like. So we spent a couple of meetings going over the elements of each one of those types of entities, make sure that the committee as a whole was on board and was in agreement on that, because once you're in agreement on what you want the ordinance to look like, then at that point you're just talking about the specific wording and, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So we did spend a couple of meetings on that, which translates into 2 months of time. And so we have now turned that those results, we've completed that portion. We've turned that over to the town planner, and Jeff is here tonight if you have any questions on anything along those lines, but I know he's working on it because I've seen some emails go back and forth. And so I would anticipate that at our next meeting, we will have a draft to take a look at. I'm hoping that since we've laid this groundwork that the draft will be pretty close to what we need finalized, but you know, it is what it is. I suspect that we are not going to be able to approve it next meeting, so I think it will take at least 2 more meetings for us. I would say to be safe, we ought to delay it 3 meetings, and then we have a good chance of being ready at that point. Any questions that I have for me?
I don't. Anybody else have any?
Are you looking for the town council to delay to September?
I am, or I think it's August 22nd, I believe.
I was going to make a motion to delay it till August the 22nd. I think that's the right date.
I believe that is the right date. Yes, thank you.
90 days.
Yeah, but if we can just wait 1 second, I'd like Yvette just to check the meeting calendar to make sure that's the actual.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Okay. As long as you all are sure. I'll double check. 22nd.
It is?
Okay, perfect. All right. At what time, Councilmember Hartman?
Is this LPA or?
It's LPA, it starts.
6 p.m.
Yeah, we'll set it for 6 then.
Okay.
Time and date
Yeah.
certain. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? None?
No.
Thank you, Mayor. Go ahead and call the roll.
Board Member McKay?
Yes.
Board Member Jablonski?
Yes.
Board Member Fisicelli?
Here.
Board Member Hartman?
Yes.
Board Member Schroeder?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion, so moved.
Second. Very good. Okay, now we're going to move into the regular meeting. If you would, call the roll.
Mayor McKay,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Here.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. I have a rare privilege and honor tonight. We have a superstar among us, a fantastic police officer by the name of Veronica Love, who has done some outstanding work in our town. And it is an honor and a privilege to be the administrator or the acting mayor right now for this. I'd like Andy, if you could recognize some of the officers that are here and exactly why we're doing this.
Sure. Thank you, Vice Mayor. First of all, I'd like to start out and welcome Chief Engel. Many of you got to know Dale Engel when he was a captain, when we started with Davie PD. We watched Dale become a major, become acting chief, and last month he was appointed the chief of the Davie Police Department. So I've had the pleasure of working with him for a number of years, and I'm absolutely delighted to have him here tonight and welcome officially as chief.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you will, let me just, I also have a couple other people I want to introduce. One is Lieutenant Chastain. The Southwest Ranches Department, for lack of a better word, was certainly under Dale's direction for a number of years, and he and I had the pleasure of working together. Since he's been promoted to chief, he had to hand that off and delegate it. And so for the last few months, I've been working with Chris Chastain, and my relationship with him is certainly as good as it was with you, Dale. It's been a pleasure. I think he made a very good choice there.
Thank you.
I think he understands the uniqueness, the specialness of the ranches, and I think he's been a very good fit for us. And nobody else knows this, Lieutenant, but in June, he'll be promoted to captain. So we welcome soon-to-be Captain Chastain with us this evening as well.
Breaking news.
And
Hopefully.
I'll give you the mic for a
No,
moment.
I don't need
Because
that.
I
know you're
do
gonna
want to
introduce
talk about
Oops.
Veronica. But,
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
I don't want to hold you back from that. So, okay.
Can't put that toothpick
Okay,
back in.
and so now that we got the brass out of the way, let's get down to the people on the road who are actually doing the work out there. And that's Officer Veronica Love, who's one of our original officers from when we started with Davie Police Department. To most of you, she probably won't be recognizable because the sun's out. You know, she works overnight. She's got the late night shift, but something's going on in your property at 3 a.m., she's the one who's going to be out there. And so we wanted to acknowledge her tonight because she had, during the month of April, about 10 days or so that was absolutely incredible. And I wanted to share with the council, but more importantly, I wanted to share with the public what Veronica was able to do. So I've got 3 different cases that I'm going to share some summaries with so that you understand why we're honoring her tonight. So the first was on April 18th at 1:15 a.m., so many of us were sleeping or trying to. Veronica observed the vehicle driving slowly down Mather Boulevard. She went to investigate and found the vehicle parked with the lights out in front of a house under construction at Mather and Southwest 163rd Manor. The vehicle was occupied by a male driver and a female passenger. They told Officer Love that they were in the area to look at houses for sale. That's at 1:15 a.m. So she rightly asked for identification, and the driver sped off. They were last seen getting on I-75 southbound. So Officer Love went back to the area and found mail from numerous residents in the roadway. She was able to identify the driver as Miguel Arrieta out of Hialeah. Hialeah Police Department responded to his address, but he wasn't there. He has an extensive criminal history that includes armed robbery, theft, check fraud, burglary, etc. He's currently out on bond on a burglary charge. He was also a suspect in a mail theft case from Southwest Ranches back in January. Officer Love completed an arrest affidavit and it was sent to the Broward County State Attorney's Office for review. And he was charged with 2 counts of failure to obey a traffic control device, resisting without violence, fleeing and eluding, driving with license suspended, running a red light, and speeding. And he's been since picked up. So that's just one where some good police work was able to stop not only a criminal in Southwest Ranches, but was a repeat criminal here in Southwest Ranches. The next case was at 3 a.m. on April 29th, and a victim was exiting his house. He was leaving for work, and he saw 2 people who were in his vehicle and another 2 people across the street pulling on the door handle of another car. So the victim saw them. He called 911. The suspects were aware that they had been seen. They fled the area. Other Davie units responded. They set up a perimeter and got K-9 and BSO helicopters out there. K-9 officers quickly started tracking the suspects and located 4 people in a backyard several blocks away. 2 of them fled from the K-9 officer, and the other 2 began to flee, but they were apprehended by the K-9 officer Storm. The 2 suspects that fled from the K-9 ran into a perimeter unit, and one was taken into custody. The other continued to flee and was taken into custody a short time later with the assistance of the BSO Aviation Unit. The Detective Bureau responded to the scene. So you think, okay, good job. We had 4 people, we got it done. But no, Officer Love was suspicious that something was still going on and there was a vehicle in the area. So this started at 3 a.m. At 6:14, she located the suspect vehicle at the corner of Thistledown and Carriage. 3 additional suspects were located in the vehicle and were taken into custody. The investigation is still ongoing, but at this time, all 7 suspects have been charged with burglary.
It gets better.
And in case that wasn't enough, on the very next night, on April 30th, at 3:30 a.m., Southwest Ranches received a call of a single vehicle crash where the car entered the water out at US 27 and Griffin Road. Officer Love was in the area when the call was dispatched and began checking the area. She located the security guard inside Everglades Holiday Park and learned the submerged vehicle was located within the park, which is outside our jurisdiction, but she was out there and was on scene. She located the vehicle. It was fully submerged, but she could see that there was a female floating in the middle of a large canal. She dropped her gear, jumped into the canal, swam to the female, grabbed her arm, and swam with her back to shore. She then pulled her out of the water and placed her into the recovery position. The woman began throwing up water, but was incoherent but breathing. Davie Fire Rescue transported the female, who is expected to survive. And now all the hard work is done. Then BSO Weston responded to handle the crash paperwork. Lisa, Veronica, we're not done yet. We do have a proclamation for you that I'm going to ask Yvette to read into the record for you as well.
This is a proclamation from the town of Southwest Ranches, whereas originally from the Czech Republic, Officer Veronica Love moved to Florida in 1997 as a single mom to raise her 2 children, David and Nikki. And whereas Officer Veronica Love followed in her grandfather and uncle's footsteps and became a police officer in 2008. And whereas in every American community, law enforcement officers are committed to the preservation of life and property, risking their lives to protect us from all who would mock the law, providing protection, law and order, and serving the cause of justice. And whereas Officer Love has worked proactively to protect our community, diligently watching over residents and property. And whereas Officer Veronica Love risked her own life to save someone from drowning in a submerged vehicle by jumping into a canal and pulling her out of the water and giving her CPR. And whereas Officer Veronica Love accepts a profound responsibility and to work to uphold our laws, safeguard our rights and freedoms, and serve on the front lines in the fight against crime and terrorism. And whereas the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, and our community have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have and are selflessly serving their country and this community in the police forces. Now, therefore, the mayor and town council of the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 24th, 2019 as Officer Veronica Love Day.
Okay,
Outstanding.
Chief,
Couldn't say it any better. We have a plaque here that we would like to present to you, and if we could all come down and.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, if I'd like to allow the chief the opportunity to
very
share his
good.
thoughts as well. And then, yes, and then we'll have the council go down for a photo.
Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for welcoming me, but more importantly, we're here for Officer Love. We talk about what we do in law enforcement, and our goal is so that you can rest easy at night. And I think it's officers like Officer Love that ensure to not only Southwest Ranches, but to the residents of Davie and really the community of South Florida that, yes, you can go home and rest at night and understand and know that the officers are out there patrolling your area and they're there and they're going to protect you. So I thank you for taking this time to honor not only myself, but especially Officer Love and the relationship that we have with the Davie Police Department between Southwest Ranches. So thank you very much. We're going to want to come down for
You can Photoshop me in later.
Everybody come over about 2 feet. That way we get the town seal in the background. Perfect. Excellent. Is the flash on?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see what a superstar looks like, just look right back in the back of the room. I mean, it's fantastic what she was able to do. We can't say thank you enough. Okay, moving along. The next item on the agenda is the quasi-judicial. Keith,
Sure.
your ballywick.
Vice Mayor, all witnesses had already been sworn in. Public session had been closed. Steve Weary, who's the attorney for the applicant, who is present, asked the town to temporarily table the item so he could have some discussions with his client. The town obliged in his request. Mr. Weary, if you could just come to the podium, state your name and address, that you're still sworn in, and just give the council the update so they can vote and move on.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Town Attorney. My name is Steve Weary, 200 East Broward Boulevard. On behalf of my client, Terra Ranches Investments, LLC, I am still sworn in, and I appreciate the opportunity that the town has given my client to evaluate the suggested additional condition to the site plan reapproval, which is namely to add in the turn lanes. We've had a chance to conduct that evaluation, and it's an acceptable condition. So thank you.
Thank you. At this time, council, it's back to you for discussion. The last point is Jeff had entered the staff report with the stipulations. The council had asked to modify it to include the installation of the turn lane in accordance with the one that was approved previously for, I forgot the name of the development, I apologize. The one straight up the road, Bella, straight up the road from this one. I spoke to Jeff Kadams. I believe that their condition was after the construction of the third home, then the turn lane would have to be required before the fourth home was permitted. Is that correct, Jeff?
Correct.
So it's back to you for consideration, a motion, and to move on.
I make a motion, we accept.
The motion would be to approve with staff conditions plus the turn lane
Plus
prior
the
to the
turn
fourth
lane
home.
prior, yeah.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
What do we require of Bella Ranches? how many COs or how many permits till they had to install it?
3 and before the 4th, Dougie.
No, they came before us like 3 times.
Yeah,
The
that's
very
what they
first
modified.
time was the 3rd, but we modified it later. So what was the outcome ultimately when after the 3rd time? Because I thought we moved it to the 4th or the 5th.
No, I think it stayed at the 3rd.
I believe they had requested it and we declined.
Yeah,
Yes,
was how that went down, how that transpired.
I think so.
They'd actually
Mayor.
requested elimination of it altogether,
Yeah.
and they asked to push it back, and the council refused both requests.
Were you able to hear Jeff, Mayor?
But what was the final outcome that we voted on? At which point they had to install it.
They had to install it on the, I believe on the 4th one.
Jeff, is it
Before
the
the
same
fourth one.
stipulations?
Was that
the same
4th one
stipulation.
CO'd, or what was the deal there?
No, it was after the
Prior
3rd.
prior to issuance of the 4th building permit for a house.
The condition is exactly the same as that one. Jeff pulled it right from their final resolution.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Back to you, Keith.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes,
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Thank you
Motion
very much.
Congratulations. Feel
Thank you very
better.
much. Just as a matter of housekeeping, can I ask what this resolution number will be? You don't know that? Okay,
If
that's
you call
fine.
her tomorrow,
No problem. Thank you.
it depends what happens the rest of it.
Done with,
Yep, we're done with quasi.
Okay, done with quasi judicial. Now we're moving into public comment.
Sure, Vice Mayor, the rules of public comment are on the agenda. In accordance with the rules, we only have 3 public speakers. If there's anyone else who wishes to speak or public comment, I need your cards now. If not, you will be prohibited from speaking. Okay, seeing none, we have 3 speakers in this order. David Kaczynski, Robert Sirota. Final speaker will be Jim Lasky. David's waving. 2 speakers left, Robert Sirota, followed by Jim Lasky.
Never sure on this mic. Robert Sirota, 16691 Southwest 49th Street. I want to talk to you guys for a minute about ways that we can begin promoting businesses owned by people that live here in the ranches. I don't know. I think there should be some sort of component to the website or in the newsletter, or we can have a chamber of commerce. But I think a component of us preserving our rural lifestyle would also be us keeping the money within our community. Because if I need catering or a lawyer, an attorney, or I need a photographer, and I don't know you guys, how would I find out, a business that's owned by or managed by somebody that lives here in the ranches? So who do I talk to about beginning to set up an organization or website, or us getting a chamber out here so that we can begin promoting our own and keeping the money in our own community? That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Final speaker is Jim Lasky. Jim?
Mr. Lansky, do you wish to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry.
he was. Oh, you mean to us?
Jim Lasky, 5780 Southwest 188th Avenue. Sorry to slow the ball down. But another thing that I found on my set of plans is a bunch of notes that nobody seems to can tell me how it affects me. But why should there be notes on adjacent property? I'm waiting for an answer on that. One of the things the notes involves is the burial of a 1,000-gallon propane tank for a generator. Now, here's the law on generators in Broward County, which I assume is incorporated in the Broward County Building Code. So it is part of the code. There is no submittals in regards to the size, the exhaust, the fuel consumption, the noise level. I mean, this is a rural environment. How loud can this generator get? You know how loud this monster is next door to you. The sized wrong. We've never heard it sing. Maybe we should crank it up sometime and get an idea. It has a 1,000-gallon fuel tank in it too, if I remember correctly. But I think now you realize it's way oversized. I have no idea what this nut is going to put next door. I have no idea. It should be called out in the plans, in the details. They've got everything else, the size of the air conditioners, the amount of BTUs, the tonnage and everything else. Somebody doesn't know how to do plan review, because this is a big deal. 1,000 gallons of propane right next to my property in the front of the house. It's not even in the back, so at least if it blew up, it'd blow up the backyard. Big deal. That's where my generator is going to go. I happen to have a diesel generator sitting in a warehouse ready to go. I don't understand you guys, but I sure would like somebody to answer some of my requests. I've left messages for the town engineer to tell me what should have been required on the initial survey. And the code says whatever is applicable to the work you want to do. So maybe a drainage easement should have been shown on the survey so we can find out that there's 20 feet on one side, 5 feet on another, which if you have to comply with where a drain field goes, tell me how you fit it in. It's impossible. And nobody could figure that. That's simple math to me. Anyway, that's my little speech for today.
Thank you. The Vice Mayor has allowed the final speaker, John Pepper. You wave? Okay, no worries.
Okay, we're done with public comment. Moving on, any board reports? Yes, sir. I would love to hear a report on that. There's a great deal of discussion on that, and we appreciate your input.
Hi, John Eastman, 188th Avenue. I attended the FAA Part 150 noise study for Fort Lauderdale Airport. It was meeting number 6. There's going to be 2 more meetings to conclude before the final recommendations are submitted to the FAA. I was happy to see that they had adopted 4 of my recommendations regarding overflights of our area with regard to controlled rate descents and some other suggestions that will help cut our noise level down. Starting in June, the main runway, 10 left, is going to be closed until October. So we're going to have all the traffic over Southwest Ranches, the traffic that's normally over Weston. So we'll get all the light and heavy traffic. They will only have that 1 runway operational. So the summer months are going to be hectic for us here. There's going to be a lot of noise. The only good thing is that the approach for the right runway is an extra 1,500 feet higher. So they'll be overflying us approximately 4,000 feet instead of 2,500. Into the future, they have a 2023 study. It has a lot more traffic in the area. And the new south runway that was completed 3 years ago is going to be coming up to capacity. So Fort Lauderdale is going to be pretty much really humming in the next 3 or 4 years. The overall Part 150 study has come up with several ways of cutting down on the noise, but with the increase in traffic and the overflights over our area, it's just going to continue to get worse. I'm trying to get them to keep the aircraft a little bit higher as they go over our neighborhoods, and that's about the best we can hope for. The 150 study basically is concentrating on alleviation of noise for the folks that live closer into the airport that really get the brunt of it. So, it's nice of them to invite us, and they did accept some of my recommendations. So I'll keep you updated as that goes on.
Thank you, John, and thank you for your efforts and your expertise.
Thank you, John.
John, thank you. Thank you for bringing your recommendations to the FAA. When would you expect that they would begin to comply with the recommendations that you've made?
Okay, the final meeting is December, and they get submitted to the FAA. Then they have 90 days to study them. If they don't comment on them, then they're automatically implemented. If they do kick them back and comment on them, they can make changes, which they probably will because it goes through several of their departments.
Right.
So 6 months to a year?
I think within, probably within a year,
Good.
we should have something.
Thanks again.
Thank you, John. Any other board reports? Seeing none. Moving on to council member comments. Who'd like to go first?
I just got a couple. Robert, regarding promoting businesses within our town, there's actually a link on the website, on the town website at the very bottom from the Historical Society. They started a, I don't know, like a business catalog about a year ago, and there's a number of businesses, including photographers coincidentally, that you know, live in town and do business in town. Chamber of Commerce would be pretty interesting. That would be cool. So, I mean, if you are interested in getting that started, when my life calms down a little bit, I'd be happy to help you out if I could. Good. Jim, regarding these 1,000-gallon propane tanks, they're all over town. I got 3 of them on my street. Basically, 1,000 gallons of propane gives you about 5 days worth of electricity if you've got a, you know, a decent-sized generator. They're not that uncommon. I don't know how you get notified. I know the county, I believe the county has to permit them. So this isn't something recent and new that's just happening to you. They're all over the place. I don't have a lot of comments. I just wanted to respond to a couple of the public comments.
Very good.
Thank you. One last thing, though. She left, unfortunately, Officer Love. You know, I'm out here all the time saying, please, people, lock your doors, lock your cars, lock your doors, lock your cars. Fortunately, she's catching the bad guys that are going after people that aren't locking their cars and locking their doors. It's amazing, the heroism. For her to be out there all by herself at night, catching these people at 3 o'clock in the morning, she's got a lot more guts than I have. And, you know, jumping in the water at Holiday Park, I go there all the time at night, and there's gators everywhere. She put this person's life ahead of herself. I mean, that's heroism. To me, that's the definition of heroism right there. So I wish I could have made a comment while she was here, but I mean, that I have the ultimate respect for her. The whole Davie PD that serves us out here, they're all really good, but this is exceptional. Thank you.
Okay. Freddie, do you have anything? Any comments?
No, fine.
Okay. Mayor, do you have any comments?
Good, thank you.
Dee?
No, I'm good.
Okay, back to me. I just have a couple of comments. They're more informational than anything else. I just want to remind everybody of the household hazardous waste on the 13th of July at the barn. It's shredding's included, correct, Andy? On the 13th? Okay. Yes, and so you can, and they also have the Davie PD will be there. Police department will be there for a prescription drug drop-off. If you have any unwanted prescription drugs that you need to dispose of, that would be a good time to do it. Also, too, we have this month we have the Flowmobile on. Actually, it was today. I'm sorry. In June, we have the Flowmobile coming on the 27th, and in July it'll be coming on the 25th. So, just want to mention that. And that's all I've got for council member comments for right now. We'll move into legal comments. Keith?
Sure. Vice Mayor, I'll be brief. We had 2 hearings since the last meeting. One on a case referred to as the Diamond Eye case. For those of you who remember, a resident who owns a property under an LLC called Diamond Eye sued the town because their taxes went up. And it's about a $7,000 increase that they sued the town for on their property. We went to a hearing this week. They had sued us and the Broward County property appraiser. The judge immediately dismissed the case as related to the Broward County property appraiser. As related to us, we need to file a different sort of motion, which we are filing, and hopefully can get that resolved on her next calendar. Which will probably be November based upon how the court is running right now. On a second case, and this one's more, you know, fact is sometimes stranger than fiction, and this is a case. So we have the Dania Perez case. For those of you who may remember that, Dania came in for a plat, and Jeff Kadams made the recommendation that they dedicate a trail that was slated to be a trail that's next to the property that actually had already been dedicated years ago, but Jeff didn't like the dedication language. We probably didn't like it either, so we asked him to clarify the dedication language. Based on Jeff's recommendation, they sued the town, okay? So we're in the middle of litigation based on Jeff's recommendation that has never come to the town council. And it goes, and the judge basically ordered a couple of hearings ago that they actually bring this matter before the town council so the town council can make a decision, because Jeff's decision was non-binding, okay? So they didn't have a case yet. Lo and behold, they give us the $2,000 check to bring the case before council. Well, you all know the first thing that Robert looks at and Jeff looks at when they process the application is code violations. Sure enough, they built a huge structure in the back of the Dominguez property, right in the middle of the setback, you know, during the midst of all this litigation. So we said, we can't bring this forward until you resolve the structure issue. Well, in order to resolve the structure issue, they, like everyone else, will have to knock down their entire structure, or they have to buy more property to make it work. Can't buy more property because then the other property they buy it from becomes non-conforming, and it leads into a whole slew of problems. So that hearing went before the judge today, and the judge ruled to Perez, if you do not fix your illegally constructed structure within 60 days and have this matter heard by the council within 60 days, this case will be dismissed without further hearing. So pretty steep motion that an order issued by the judge today. Other than that, there's been no other legal cases moving forward. The courts are very much swamped. And right now I applied for one judge for a hearing, and we're getting November, December dates for when we're next up for motion calendar. So it's just the nature, unfortunately, of the court system right now.
Thank you, Keith. Administration comments?
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll be very brief this evening. I have nothing else.
Okay, this is like lightning around here. All right, and we're moving into the main body. On the ordinance first reading for the nursery ordinance, I guess we call it that. And we need a motion. The LPA has recommended that we move.
The LPA has recommended the town council table this item to August 22nd at, that they're tabling until August 22nd at 6 p.m. So based on that, it would be appropriate for the town council to make a motion to table this same item, which is a companion item, to August 22nd at 7 p.m.
Make a motion to table it to August 22nd?
Second.
At 7 p.m.
Okay, we have a
7 p.m.
motion and a second. Any discussion on the council for moving it? No?
No.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, moving along, we have the next item is the approval of the minutes for March 14th and for April 11th, the regular minutes.
The regular ones. Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any public comment, input? Back to us. Any comment? Mayor, you have any comments? Any?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fisickelli,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So be it. Thank you, Mayor. Hope you're okay up there.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. I'll be back sometime next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bye-bye.